Alright, what's up guys? We're actually starting the final process of getting this thing in the water, which means we gotta do all like the not fun stuff, like plumbing hoses, all that shit. And we actually kept the oil injection on this motor. So the way the Sea-Doos work, there's actually a wet sump. The Rotax, we found out, stands for rotary something. There's a rotor, what is it? Rotary vane. Yeah, so there's this rotor in here that actually shuts off the ports as like a timing thing. Instead of a reed. And then this guy, well, this is the vacuum pulse. This guy actually feeds that gear so it doesn't get messed up. And that's why the other motor leaks oil into the intake, because the internal seals are bad and it leaks into the case. But we have to get the oil tank mounted. As I said, we kept it because of that. This oil tank feeds the rotary gear, so you can't just delete it like you would on normally on a two-stroke. And apparently this oil injection is actually good, which is rare because oil injection is usually pretty shitty. But what I'm doing is extending this hose because we need to get a longer one, and taking this off means possibly leaking oil everywhere. So for now, and I have a feeling this will probably end up forever, we're just gonna stick this little air fitting we had laying around in and slip a longer hose on and run it to the tank, and then run the feed line to the rotary pump back, and we'll be in business to have the oil hooked up, and then we can work on a couple other things. Alright, so if we look here, we got the Ghetto Union. Over there it goes to the tank. This is what I'm working on now. So this is the actual oil injection lines themselves. So this little pump, this here actually gets pulled when you pull the throttle, which is pretty neat how it all functions. But you actually pull this when you pull the throttle, and it adds oil through these lines into these little nipples. So I didn't hook this one up so you can see. This hose I got is actually slightly too big, but we were able to salvage the original clamps and reuse them. So look at that. You know what I mean? Nice and tight. So I'm going to get those finalized and throw this carb back on, hook that back up, and on to the next project. Got the carbs back on. This hose I forgot to show you. This is the feed that feeds that pump system. And that goes into the bottom of the tank over here as well. So these will be routed together across the front, going over there, and that one has a filter on it because obviously you don't want any grit going in there. It's that valve, the rotary valve, is a very thin piece of steel that rides in between two aluminum surfaces. If grit got in there, it would destroy it. And of course that oil also goes into the intake. That's the actual lubricant for the motor, just like on any other oil injection or a bike that you mix. The oil lubricates the motor. That's how the oil gets in here. So we also ran these. I didn't show you guys. I ran these earlier. This is the feed line. This is the return. I just looped it down and through this crack. They both come over, up. This is just temporary, but this is kind of how they're gonna run. And then boom, into the tank up there. We're not gonna use, the factory version has this. So the return, or the reserve, and the full-time fuel feed come into here, and then there's one feed from here to the carbs. The problem is this valve is bad. We don't have one. We can easily convert this to use one later on, and for now, if we die and run out of fuel, I can just pull that line off, swap it to the reserve, keep going. One thing we do need is an exhaust gasket. You gotta order that because I don't see that coming in time. He's out here working on this boat. It's a lot less cool than our boat. I mean,
jealous.
This is just something you go fishing on. This is something you have some fun on. One of the most important parts of a boat is definitely a good bilge pump if you don't want to sink it. So we picked up this Walmart bilge pump. I never heard of the brand. I forget what the one brand is. It's like red, white, and blue. Those are really good, but this is what we got right now. It's a 800 gallon per hour pump, so it's plenty big enough. And what we're gonna do is, like, when I had one of these in my jet ski, I just glued it to the bottom of the hull. But I'm gonna actually make a little bracket to mount it right there, and then the wires will go boom right to the battery. We'll just install a manual switch. There's no reason to have a float switch in a boat like this. And then we just gotta do a quick little bit of plumbing, and we'll be good. So let's get to making the bracket. Alright, measured it up, got our scrap piece of aluminum. Just a little piece we had laying around, we don't have to waste anything new. Just gonna cut this on the bandsaw, and then we're gonna do a little work with the flap disc, make it look good, mark the holes, drill them, and we'll be good to go. There you go. We got a nice piece, rounded corners. Now we can measure our holes and mark those out. Alright, so we got all of our holes drilled. So I'm just going to throw it in the brake since we have the brake here. And put a slight angle on it to aid in keeping everything level. Snug her up. Throw a little angle on it. So as we notice, I'm trying to get the GoPro in there if I can. We needed a lot less of a bend, but that's okay. We can always hammer it out. I'm going to get this straightened up. I was just showing you guys the process of that. I'm going to hammer this out a little bit, get it in the boat, get it all screwed together, and then we can plumb it. Here it is. I could not get this screw in. I actually had to take the mount of the pump off, put the screw in, and then rotate the pump into it, and it's still cockeyed. I'm going to cut these shorter though. If it's not forever, it'll work for now to get us out in the water this weekend. We got it ran up here. We already had an existing fitting, so we'll save that one for the other boat. And this, I mean, it's just not the sexiest of routing, but where the cut points are, you don't really have much of a choice. I would love to like loop it back, run it along here. It was too long or too short. And one day you kids will learn not everything in life is sexy. You know what I'm saying? It's not like the movies. So sometimes things just gotta look like spaghetti. But it is what it is. Alright, just button this up. So this had a broken stud in there, that guy. There was actual red Loctite on the nut. Just a PSA for you guys for the future. Never fucking do that. Terrible idea. Oh. We got a new stud made. I also cut a new bolt for this one, and that has a gasket. It's actually good to go. The exhaust is done. Now I have to clean up this rat's nest. Really just have to route it and put all that back in place. Got the whole intake together. It actually looks really freaking sharp because it kind of streamlines everything. It fits so perfectly in with this electronics box, and I had no idea if it was, I never forgot that it was this big. Pop this off. Like suction on. Here there's supposed to be a spark arrestor. Every boat's supposed to have a spark arrestor per the US Coast Guard, and if you work for the US Coast Guard, just click off the video. Because we're not going to have one, because right now, look at this thing. Look at the level of crust. So eventually it will have a spark arrestor. This actually is probably going to help it run better because it's jetted for that. But for now, for this weekend, it's not going to have a spark arrestor. Alright, so my dad just made this for our dash bar. We found out it won't start without the gauges plugged in, and he didn't record anything.
My bad.
Just
let's go right over here.
Not even making YouTube videos anymore. But we're just gonna bend it real quick in the brake so it screws in, you know, like bend it there.
This one's gonna look all cocky. This isn't square, so don't look at that.
I saw that.
Don't look at that.
Nice.
Little Harbor Freight ingenuity.
Don't break. There we go. That's perfect. Alright guys, so we got the steering cable finally in. We're starting to hook it up. This is the other end here. We had some problems with the rod ends. So these rod ends that came with it aren't the same. This is a reverse cable, right?
This is a reverse cable out of a 92 Speedster.
Yeah, so that's like a jet boat.
Which is a quarter 28 thread.
Yeah, it's an actual like jet boat. So this thread was actually different.
They were 1024s.
Yeah, we bought new rod ends. They were the same fucking rod ends we had. So
I drove them out, tapped them,
He redid them, so now we have the rod ends, and now we just got to hook the cable up to the pump. Just hooks onto the nozzle here and comes to the hull right here. We got to hook all this up and then make the dash bar. And that'll be it for this video, but we are going to film another one today. We're taking this thing out because stars align for the day.
Anyhow, this will slide on. This seal's on the outside, the rubber seal against the hull there. And these two pieces make a half moon. They lock in place with a ring, the seal in the back, and that's what seals it. You tighten this nut up, it'll clamp it into the boat and seal the water from getting in.
And then we have to acquire or procure a battery, and we'll be good to go and give this thing a shot at running today. I'm working on the new dash. We got this sweet purple painted 2x4. This is because I painted this entire shop purple at one point. The floor still purple over there when we painted my car a few years ago. So we got this very nice DuPont Plum Crazy pearlescent purple dashboard.
All right, the steering cable's in now. Everything's just hand tight right now because we got to do any adjustments with the threads. We can adjust it so everything centers up. We're gonna try to put the throttle cable on. Again, this I believe is out of a 92 or 94 Speedster. Basically has the same ends, but it's a lot longer, obviously, because the boat is longer than the jet ski. This is our temporary. Don't judge a book by its cover. Everybody's laughing at us right now, but this is going to allow us to clamp it to the hull, and then if we have to move our weight forward or backwards, we can adjust it. We can adjust it as needed till we get it the balance to where we want it to make the boat ride correctly, and then we'll finish it off with a subsequent video and a nicer looking job.
Alright guys, so we're still in a mad dash to get it done today. He got the cable all the way in. The dash is done. I mean, this has got to be the sweetest jet boat dash ever made. These are outdoor screws too, so it's rated for
deck
water.
Screws.
This here doubles as a pickup handle, so we can carry this thing across the beach like fucking Baywatch.
And that side over there is the oh shit handle to hold on to.
Yeah, that's for the passenger. So this is gonna be the last you guys see it before we take it out. So we're gonna button up a few more things, take it out. That you can tell we're excited. He's got his steel toe flip flops on. I got the steel toe Crocs on. You know, we're OSHA approved.
Get my flappy hat. I'm good.
Yeah, we'll get the sun hats out in a second, and next time you see us, we'll be launching this thing in the creek. So, see you guys.